If you've traveled most other places in the world, you'll know how corrupt the criminal justice situation is. When you're in Asia, outside of maybe Japan, you definitely don't want to get arrested because they can do pretty much whatever they want with you. The police, the courts are very, very corrupt. They are very open to accepting bribes, money. The United States system is one of the best, if not the best in the world, and it is predicated on a presumption of innocence of the accused. Now, Derek Chauvin deserves a new trial. It was a complete abomination of justice, and I'll go so far as to say that if he doesn't get a new trial, it will show you just how corrupt our system has become, how much poison has been injected into it by the radical left. It doesn't matter if you think that Chauvin was guilty. It doesn't matter if you think he was innocent. The purpose of the system is to give him a fair trial in front of an impartial jury, at least as impartial as possible. Now, of course, you're going to note the fact that I'm going to talk about Brandon Mitchell, the black 31-year-old basketball coach who absolutely lied on his questionnaire. Whether or not he attended a Black Lives Matter rally. Liar. He even is wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt. Get your knee off our necks. You can see that picture right there. It's disgusting, the fact that he would lie about it. Then he goes on various podcasts and discuss his reason to want to get out onto the jury, to affect change, activism. He was not an impartial juror. If for no other reason, just this one, there is no way that Derek Chauvin got a fair trial. But it doesn't stop there. You have a jury that was tainted by the pressure applied to them, having to know that, as the alternate juror stated, that they feared that there was going to be unrest and riots if they found him innocent. You had them each day going through throngs of people with the National Guard, providing them protection so that they could get into the courthouse. You had George Floyd's drug dealer who was not forced to at least take the fifth on the stand because he did not want to be implicated. And if the prosecution had wanted him to participate, they could have offered him immunity. But he was afraid, perhaps rightfully, that he would then be charged with the crime of murdering George Floyd if it was indeed found that he had in fact overdosed on fentanyl that was provided by his drug dealer. And do you think that Derek Chauvin was going to get a fair trial in Minneapolis? The change of venue, if you're looking for a fair trial, should have been granted. And good old Maxine Waters going there and telling the protesters, in air quotes, that they should become more confrontational if they did not receive the verdict that they desired.
Not just manslaughter, right? I mean...
Oh, no, not manslaughter. No. This is guilty for murder. I don't know whether it's in the first degree, but as far as I'm concerned, it's first degree murder.
Congresswoman, what happens if we do not get what you just told? What should the people do? What should protesters on the street do?
I didn't hear you.
What happens?
What should protesters do?
Well, we got to stay on the street. And we've got to get more active. We've got to get more confrontational. We've got to make sure that they know that we mean business.
Politicians influencing the decision of an impartial jury? This is mafia-like tactics, knowing that there are going to be repercussions, and leading politicians like her, and then Joe Biden saying that they hope that they come to the right decision and that America is a systemically racist place. Let me ask you a simple question. If there had been evidence of Derek Chauvin's racism, do you think that the prosecution would have not brought it up in the court of law? Do you not think that the whole country was, according to them, on trial for systemic racism, but the person who committed this alleged crime, Derek Chauvin, appears not to have any racism, because you darn tootin' well know that they would have brought that thing up in court had there been any evidence of it, because that would have moved the jury. We don't want to be seen as supporting a racist. They couldn't find it. That's why they didn't bring it up. Guaranteed. Then you had the fact that the jury should have been sequestered from the start of the trial, that they had to be affected by things like the $27 million settlement that was received right before the trial began, by the way. That doesn't necessarily go with jury sequestration, but to possible jurors had to be excused because that skewed how they viewed it. The city shelled out millions and millions of your taxpayer dollars to Fentanyl Floyd's family on the basis, what basis? Has he been found guilty yet? This officer? That's tampering, that's playing with the results of the trial. But in terms of the sequestration, do you think that they don't know that in Brookline, nearby, that there were massive riots as well? That they burned buildings and looted? I think that that does affect the jury. Not sequestering them, not such a great idea. Now, each of these things by itself, with the exception, in my opinion, that the juror lied and was an activist that tried to get onto the jury, is not necessarily in and of itself grounds for mistrial, but you add all those together, and if you do not see a new trial for Derek Chauvin, or just tossing out of the verdict entirely, then I think that you would have to agree that the U.S. judicial system has become rotten and infected with this social justice programming. This is not something that we as Americans, and again, this is regardless of whether you think that Chauvin was guilty or innocent, we need to be able to have a fair trial. That is what makes America great, is that you have all these different factions that want to impose their will, right, left, willy-nilly, whatever. But there is a institution that upholds these grander ideas, and having the presumption of innocence and a fair trial is definitely one of them, and this mark was totally missed in this case. And Brandon Mitchell, if you're watching this, I hope that you get brought up on charges of perjury, because you absolutely deserve them. And millions of dollars have been wasted. At least if we didn't have to go through this trial again because you wanted your 15 minutes of fame, because you wanted to go out there and brag about what you did, we wouldn't have to be going through this again. At least there would be some closure, wrongly or rightly. Thanks to you, there isn't. Peace out. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the notification bell. Thumb up the video. Peace.